As the sun dips below the horizon, the beasts begin to rise. They descend upon the fields in droves, tearing through crops, ripping up soil with razor-sharp tusks and hooves. But tonight, there will be no room for destruction. Armed with speed and firepower, we're hitting back hard, taking down these feral intruders before they vanish into the shadows. Will tonight's high-speed hunt be enough to end the nightmare for Canadian farmers? Stay with us as the battle unfolds fast, fierce, and in the dead of night. At exactly 9 p.m., the team mobilized without delay. The familiar roar of off-road engines pierced the night as we sped toward the vast Canadian fields. Our vehicles raced across the dry ground, kicking up clouds of dust behind us. Within minutes, we knew us. The team split up, scanning for any signs of wild boar activity. We drove up onto the grassy plain, our headlights sweeping across the field in searching mists. Their herd of wild boars was tearing across the field at 40 to 50 kilometers h. I gunned the engine, closing the gap to give Alex a clear shot. Our coordination was seamless, as if rehearsed 100 times. Gunshots thundered through the open field. Every bullet hit its mark. Boars dropped one after another, their bodies scattered across the grass. The chase raged on from the heart of the field to the edge of the forest, leaving no chance for the invaders to escape. At the same time, the eastern side of the field was anything but quiet. John's vehicle had locked onto another herd of wild boars. The distant the engine startled them, sending the herd scattering in a frenzy. John masterfully maneuvered the vehicle over uneven ground, weaving skillfully through the rugged terrain while staying hot on the trail. Beside him, Kevin was locked and loaded, ready for action. Gunshots rang out into the night, sharp and decisive. One by one, the boars dropped from the nearest to the farthest. Not a single one escaped the pursuit, marking the end of yet another reckless pack of wild beasts. The wild boars in Canada aren't easy prey. They're cunning, armed with sharp hearing and an exceptional sense of smell. We couldn't charge in like usual. This time, we had to change our approach. The vehicle rolled quietly to the edge of the field and shut off the engine. Only the beam of a flashlight swept slowly across the brush, searching for the silhouettes of our hidden foes in the dark. But our guns were loaded, and we had blocked off both ends of their path. Gunfire erupted loud and fierce. Muzzle flashes lit up the darkness.
Hey!
The ambush was swift, and in moments, the threat lurking in the night was completely wiped out.
Hey! Get him.
Suddenly, a voice crackled through the radio. A large herd of wild boars was wreaking havoc in a neighboring field. Without hesitation, we hit the gas and regrouped with the rest of the team within. Once on site, everyone fanned out to designated positions, quickly surrounding the field. The first shot rang out, and instantly, the herd scattered in panic. But what followed was a relentless barrage of gunfire, driving the beasts into a dead end. One by one, they fell until the field was littered with bodies. In the distance, a herd of boars was slowly moving through the field. Gunshots echoed across the entire field, and at last, the final herd fell. A signal came through from the grazing area. A herd of wild boars was storming in, destroying everything in their path. Through the scope, we spotted the herd boldly tearing through the pasture under cover of darkness. Wasting no time, the team locked onto their targets in the night. Then the attack began. From the center of the field to the edge of the crops, one by one, the boars were hunted down to the very last. Another herd stopped in its tracks. The grazing land was preserved at least for tonight. Where I live, wild boars aren't just wild animals. They're a recurring nightmare every harvest season. Just a few nights ago, an entire rice field, nearly ready for harvest, was torn to shreds in a matter of hours. The hard work and sweat of my family and neighbors were reduced to ruins. When no one listens to the sighs of the farmers, there's only one thing left to do. We pick up our rifles and fight back. Let's get started. We arrived at the rendezvous point in the afternoon, laid out our plans, and set up our ambush spots. These boars often linger nearby, returning out of habit. There they are, moving in. Without hesitation, I raised my rifle and pulled the trigger. The thunderous shot shattered the stillness of the evening. In an instant, shadows collapsed one by one. Half an hour later, more boars appeared. This time they came one by one, scattered, making them easy to pick off. In the darkness, they had no idea danger was lurking nearby. From our concealed positions, we aimed for vital spots like the head or neck. With precision like that, they never stood a chance. As the night deepened, more and more of them showed up, moving in full groups. That meant we needed a solid plan to maximize efficiency. We kept our fingers steady on the triggers, eyes locked on every movement, determined not to miss a single shot. And then the moment came. The whole team opened fire in unison. A storm of bullets rained down, taking out a good number of the herd. But some crafty men still managed to slip away. From the distance came a familiar sound. They were back. I quickly moved into position and lined them up in my sights. 2 quick shots rang out. It all seemed smooth, but the tension was very real. To increase our chances of bagging more targets, we decided to switch up our tactics, moving away from the original ambush zone. The deeper we went into the forest, the higher our chances of finding larger herds.
Honey!
Through the thermal scope, the boars stood out clearly. I quickly raised my rifle and fired off several rounds. After that barrage, my team and I brought down several more targets. The number of wild boars had decreased significantly after the previous ambushes, but the hunt wasn't over. Gunshots continued to echo through the night, and one by one, they dropped. Every pull of the trigger carried intense pressure and a rush of adrenaline like no other. We continued to sweep the area, and suddenly, more targets appeared. They were quick and agile, not easy to approach. But with our hard-earned experience, the team managed to bring them down with sharp, decisive shots. Today's hunt was intense, but unforgettable. Despite the challenges, we wrapped it up with results we're proud of. Wild boars, monstrous beasts weighing up to 300 pounds with razor-sharp tusks. They tear through pastures, attack people and livestock, and cause millions of dollars in damage each year. Traps and fences are useless against these relentless invaders. There's only one way to stop them: hunt them down right to their lairs in the treacherous swamps. And only the toughest hunters dare to face them head-on. So who will survive this brutal battle? Follow the heart-pounding pursuit right now. This hunt is more dangerous than ever. We're venturing deep into the territory of these beasts where they hide skillfully in the dense forest. To avoid ambush, we've brought along a pack of well-trained hunting dogs. They track swiftly and alert us the moment prey is near. In this mission, our dogs are not just trackers, they're our eyes, our ears, and our first line of defense. Today, I'm heading into a particularly treacherous area with Bernie, where towering grass provides perfect cover for wild boars. The team split up and moved into our assigned positions. After just 10 minutes of searching, the hunting dogs began barking furiously inside the thicket. We locked our eyes on the direction of the noise, tracking every movement. Suddenly, a massive wild boar burst out of the grass, charging straight toward Bernie. Wasting no time, we took our shot. The shots rang out in rapid succession, and the boar collapsed into the tall grass. After that breathless skirmish, we quickly moved on to track the next targets. In the distance, the figures of wild boars emerged, slowly roaming through thick patches of grass in search of food. We didn't fire right away. Instead, we hid carefully in the bushes, waiting for them to come closer. Then, gunshots rang out across the swamp. Each one was swift and accurate, taking down the ferocious beast. This place is a true haven for wild boars, with an abundance of food all around. Just 15 minutes in, Silas had already spotted his target. It burst out from the towering reeds, but quickly collapsed, unable to escape after Silas's precise shot. We picked a good vantage point and used binoculars to scout the area there. They were a herd of wild boars foraging on the forest floor, completely unaware of what they approached. perfect shot. A thunderous bang echoed, and one boar dropped instantly. The rest scattered in panic, fleeing into the brush. Deep within the stillness of the palm thickets, Bernie was quietly tracking a separate target. The boar emerged from behind a palm. Trunk Bernie raised his rifle, took careful aim, and pulled the trigger. Perfect. A precise shot, the boar collapsed on the spot, without a chance to react. One shot was all it took to bring it down. The swamp terrain here is truly treacherous, riddled with dangers we usually try to avoid.
For the past 2 weeks, villagers in a rural region of Turkey have been constantly complaining about wild boars destroying their crops and even attacking livestock at night. Despite trying various traditional methods, the problem persisted. Faced with this urgent situation, our hunting team teamed up with the locals to take action. And so began the chase for these destructive invaders. This would be our first ambush of the day. We had just gotten into position when the first dark shapes started to emerge from the distance. Startled by the gunshot, the boar bolted, crashing through the underbrush trying to escape. After several more rounds, it finally collapsed onto the forest floor, and I couldn't help but celebrate the moment. Following that first success, our team advanced the mountain slope. We immediately got into position, constantly adjusting our scopes as the herd moved unpredictably through the rough terrain. The first shots were fired from a considerable distance, a real challenge. But thanks to sharp focus and accurate shooting, we managed to bring down several targets in the blink of an eye. We had only moved a short distance when suddenly, another familiar silhouette appeared. The moment it poked out from the brush,
Ify red, quick, clean.
and precise. Not far from there,
Another wild boar darted out.
I stood my ground, gripped the rifle tightly, and opened fire. Unfortunately, my first shot missed.
J20 de l'animal a chance tout sprint away.
Luckily, my hunting partner had been waiting further down the slope. Right beside us, another friend fired and sent a second boar tumbling to the ground. The loud barking of our hunting dogs led us to another boar trying to hide. But this one wouldn't go down easy.
Le VN d'instinct driven.
It slipped through narrow gaps and dense foliage. Our team opened fire, but the boar kept weaving through the undergrowth.
Toute manœuvrine et vribulet. In the end, the herd managed to escape.
Leaving us behind, frustrated and regretful. We pressed on over rugged, rocky trails, making our way toward the mountain peak. Scanning the landscape ahead, we spotted a herd of boars charging downhill. Determined not to let them get away, we quickly spread out and blocked off key escape routes. As soon as the boars broke from the trees, my buddy and I opened fire.
Letting off a storm of bullets.
Despite their frantic dash, two of them fell almost instantly. We were certain more wild boars were still hiding nearby. The team kept searching. Suddenly, under fierce pursuit by our dogs, a huge boar burst from the bushes, startling everyone. But this was no ordinary prey. It was strong, fast, and surprisingly agile. One final burst, then it collapsed in the middle of the forest, bringing an end to a truly intense encounter.
In Ohio, wild boars are breeding at an uncontrollable rate. In a short time, they've spread across vast areas, destroying crops, damaging ecosystems, and threatening entire communities. Many countries have issued warnings because these animals carry dangerous diseases that can spread to livestock and even to humans. Hunters must take action immediately, not only to protect the harvest but also to safeguard public health. If we don't control them in time, what consequences will we face? And who will bear the cost? Wild boars cause intense destruction, run extremely fast, and often hide in decaying leaf-covered forests, very difficult to track. The fight between hunter and wild boar isn't just a simple chase if you're even one beat too slow. The predator can become prey. The barking of the hunting dogs echoed ahead, growing louder with each passing second. Clearly, they had just caught the scent of a wild boar, and it was running straight toward me. Just moments later, from a hidden corner of the forest, the boar burst out. I raised my rifle, took careful aim. Boom! The shot rang out, and the boar collapsed instantly down and gunshots echoed through the forest, ringing out from multiple directions. My teammates had clearly encountered and taken down some wild boars. And this was just the beginning, it was already this intense. This hunt was truly exhilarating. I moved into the adjacent forest, still scanning for tracks when a dark figure suddenly appeared, slipping between the trees. I immediately raised my rifle, holding my position, waiting. As soon as its full body stepped out from behind the trunk, I pulled the trigger. Bang! The wild boar collapsed on the spot without even a chance to turn around. In another corner of the forest, Michael, my teammate, had also tracked the boar's trail. Just as he raised his rifle to aim, the boar dashed across. The first shot landed clean, dropping the boar on the spot. But it wasn't over yet. A second one suddenly burst out from behind. Michael didn't hesitate. He chambered another round and pulled the trigger again. As I moved toward the direction of the barking hounds, suddenly two wild boars burst out in anger, charging straight to me. Without a second to think, I raised my rifle and pulled the trigger. The first shot rang out, the trailing boar dropped instantly. The hunt wasn't over yet. We were determined to take down the rest. Dark clouds began to cover the sky. We had to quickly track down the remaining boars before the rain hit. While following the trail, I suddenly heard a rustle in the bushes. Without hesitation, I raised my gun. A single shot and the boar dropped, not even getting the chance to escape. The rain had started to fall, and we had to head back. If it poured, getting out wouldn't be easy. On the way, I heard movement in the bushes. I immediately raised my gun, took aim. A dark figure darted past. I fired. But I missed. The wild boar changed direction, charging straight toward me. I quickly repositioned, cut it off. The second shot rang out. This time, it had no chance to escape.